Hello, I'm Louise Chun from welldoing.org, and this is another Zoom interview. Today we're talking to Meg Mathews, who is the author of the new Hot, Taking on the Menopause with Attitude and Style, and also the founder of Meg's Menopause, which is a platform devoted to helping women have a better time at the difficult middle period of their lives. So, hello, Meg, lovely to see you.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Can we start by you telling us how you entered this kind of period and what you thought was happening?
Well, for me, I started off by having all these really bad anxiety, like through the roof anxiety, overwhelmed by life, and couldn't sleep, aching joints. But for me, it was all like the mental health part. It was all to do with what was going on in my head. So I kept going to the GP and they just kept giving me antidepressants, but nothing was working. And I get stronger antidepressants and then trying another antidepressant and another one. And the anxiety wouldn't shift, and I couldn't drive anymore. I couldn't hold eye contact with people in the street, and my world was getting smaller and smaller. And in the end, I didn't leave my house for 3 months. And I used to get up in the morning. I used to wake up with such bad anxiety. I would just have to get up and sort of try to get out, to stop my mind going so mad. And I would then sort of be up with all my gym gear on, looking like I was all ready for the day. Then Inez used to come down, and my partner used to come downstairs with breakfast. Inez would get an Uber to school. I'd make an excuse that I was busy because I couldn't drive, didn't want them to know I couldn't drive. And then my partner would go to work, and then I would just go upstairs and get back into bed and pull the duvet over. And then I would set the alarm for 4 o'clock, and I would go downstairs, and then I would light candles and look like I'd been training and been sociable, had a great day, really busy, and then I would just say, oh, let's get a takeaway. And then I would just say, oh, I've had such a great day, I'm going to go to bed. And my partner would say, I'm watching the football. And Ace wanted to be. So I managed to just keep everyone away from me. I just didn't know what to do. And anyway, after 3 months, I thought I'm going to drink soon, and I'm a recovering alcoholic. So hadn't been to a meeting for ages. And so I went to a meeting and I shared that I'm just going nuts. And, everything that was going on, I just shared it in the room and said, what's the use of being 50 years old and sober, and if this is what life's about? Also at this point, I didn't really want to share with people because I thought my colourful 90s had caught up with me. So I thought, the mental side, the anxiety, I thought maybe I'm having a nervous breakdown, maybe I burned all my brain cells. My mum used to say to me all the time, Meg, this is going to catch up with you. I mean, I took ecstasy and MDMA and all this stuff in the 80s. No one ever knew. And they used to say, wow, what's in these? Don't know. We don't know what's going to, and I just thought, oh my God, I'm now coming to the stage where that was in the 80s and now I'm, 50s. My God, maybe this is the after effect. And this kept going through my head. As I left the meeting, this woman tapped me on the shoulder and she said, Meg, I think you're going through the menopause. And I was like, I said, really? Oh, okay. She said, take my number. So I put a number in my phone, and I was getting an Uber home, of course, because I couldn't drive. And then the penny dropped, and I thought, oh my God, maybe this is it. And that was it, really. And from then onwards, I was just like, oh my God, why didn't I know about it? Why have I never heard the word perimenopause? And I looked, and that's why I started Meg's Menopause, because I was just shocked how little I knew.
So you didn't feel that there was enough information in general, or also your friends were
everywhere? Nothing out there. I had never heard, at the age of 49, I didn't know there was 34 symptoms. I didn't know the perimenopause could last 10 to 15 years. I was just vaginal atrophy. There was just so much stuff that I was learning. And I knew, and I know that I'm a very well-read woman, and I just knew that this information was nowhere. It wasn't on the school curriculum. GPs didn't know about it. Out of our 28 medical schools in the UK, they have 7 years, they do 3 hours in their curriculum on the menopause, 3 hours, or a morning. So 3 hours, but it's all the old information. It's all synthetic HRT, which was made from mare's urine and goes back, into the 80s, 90s. They're not up to date. No doctors are up to date on with our GPs are not taught about body
Yes, and
identity.
I know from reading your book, there's a lot of information about hormones and etc. But there's also the issue of life does change in middle life, in middle age anyway. Doesn't people, women are not having children after the menopause and often leading up to it. What do you feel about just the fact that one's life and expectation of life does change as you get older?
Well, my life was I hadn't gone into a really deep mindset. Oh my God, I'm 50 and I'm 54 now, and I never had this thing. Oh my God, I'm growing old. Oh my God, what am I going to do now? I don't think that ever came. It was just the actual the physical side for me. The symptoms were horrific, but when you're saying that, I know that suicide is the highest between women of 50 and 55 in the UK. It's one of the highest brackets of suicide, and I know that when my hormones were out, I did feel like that. But when I rebalanced my hormones, I came out of that prison where it was really dark, where I didn't want to live, and I could have easily not.
But there are also sort of changes that are further on, I guess, into time. I'm 10 years older than you. And,
yeah.
And I know I don't feel the same as I did at 54. And actually that's fine, because every stage you're at is the stage you're at. And there's not a lot of reason to feel that wouldn't be good if you're happy in your life or content with what's going on in your life. So I just wondered, and there's a lot in your book, actually. Your book isn't only about hormones and HRT. I think that, there's a lot of other stuff. So I wonder if you could talk a bit more about what other things you've found that are helpful to you at this point in your life.
Yeah, well, the main one, I suppose, for me is having faith. That's a massive one for me, but that's my spiritual journey, and that I find that I have to be very connected, and I do find lots of grounding and lots of walking and lots of nature. I have to connect I have to connect, and I have to be very grounded. But that all comes from me learning about me. If we would have had this conversation 3 days ago, I was in a different, complete mind space, and I probably would have been going, I can't really cope, and all like this. And I was feeling like that, but every day and I've woken up today and I feel quite amazing, and I feel very grounded, and but I know what I have to do. I have a set routine. I have to get up in the morning. I get up at 5 a.m. And I get up at 5 a.m. and then I will pray, and then I read this book just for today. Then I then I go downstairs, then I do 10 minutes yoga, 10 minutes meditation, just to open up all my body and my heart, and then I have to do 10 minutes meditation. Then I will drink some warm water, and then I take my dog out for an hour and a half in nature where I can connect and think and clear my head out. Because if I just lie into bed and my thinking starts to think, then it would take me to all sorts of places, and I have to really keep it under control. I would be like, oh, poor Meg, oh, poor me, I'm single, I'm on my own. So I have to know that my brain will, and it doesn't stop, and it just keeps going and going and going. And I know that I have to keep an eye on that. So I think learning to sitting with my feelings and basically, it is hard to sit with them, but you know what I mean? But when you have, it's made me a better person, because I used to use on food or shopping or sex or drink or drugs, anything not to have a feeling. And that's the only way I knew all my life. And it can still pop up now. If I'm feeling like this, I might want to go on a dating website or send a guy a message or go in the cupboard and eat all the food and, to fix me. So I'm very conscious of that, and I have to be very mindful. So it's a lot of work I've done on myself over the last 5 years, a lot. I used to have a drug counsellor called Chip, who was amazing. You know, he was the one who basically taught me a lot of this stuff. You know, it was a lot of like, you know, sitting with feelings. I didn't really understand everything. When you get sober and everything, that's just like, okay, that's a little bit. But then there's all the stuff. There's childhood trauma. There's all sorts of stuff comes up. And, you know, and then of course you have to sit with it and you have to talk about it. And I noticed for me that sharing and being honest and speaking from my heart, I think that's what makes menopause so available to women, and women could connect with me because I actually just spoke about everything, you know, how it was for me. Not glamorous, you know, some really, you know, hard times that I had. And I also do lots of IGTVs, you know, when I'm not feeling that good. So women know that it's not just, you know, this life Meg Mathews has. I'm like, I'm struggling today and I don't feel my self-worth is gone and I just don't, you know, and I suffer with low self-esteem. And I talk about a lot of this because it comes up every single day is different.
You also did a lot of interviews for your book. You've spoken to I know you're right in saying this is your experience, but what I was really impressed by was how many people you spoke to who were, you know, either medically trained or nutritionists or
Yeah.
There's a lot of very good information, data, advice. You know, did you come to that for the book, or was that also for the platform?
No, I've been working, nearly everyone in my book I have an amazing relationship with. I work with most of these people all the time. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these women in there, not all of them, but a lot of them I'm in daily contact with them all, or weekly contact, like Dr. Louise Newson. I mean, she's the one that called me the expert, and that's why she said you have to, because I did her podcast a few times and I go up to her wellness centre and she's Meg Mathews, the menopause expert. And I'm like, she goes, you are, Meg. I'm like, well, if you say I am and you're very expert. She said, you can, you know, because basically everything that I learn from her. Yes. So, you know, everything from her and Dr. Harper. So most of the menopause specialists, you know, everything that they taught, I just, you know, I lap up their information and then I can, basically talk, you know, all my facts, all my figures, most of my stuff around all the stuff comes from menopause specialists. And, you know, I've been working with them for years before I did my book.
As you mentioned, you're in the 12-step program and you don't drink. Do you think that alcohol is particularly difficult for women in midlife?
Yeah, very. I feel that, you know, women start to, as we know, one or two glasses of wine a night can cause breast cancer. It's as low as that, osteoporosis. And then there's all the other side of the stuff that you wake up and you feel hungover and then you put on weight and then you put on weight and you can't lose the weight and you don't want to go out and you don't want to be social. And it's a really catch-22. But it's the crutch that if you don't know, if you can't speak or express how you're feeling, and, you know, it could be a sandwich effect because I felt like that with my mum passed away and my dad was there and Aeneas was doing her GCSEs. And I felt like this. And so, but I had an outlet that I could pick up the phone and talk. If I didn't have that, I would have been, you know, I would have just been opening the fridge, gin and tonic, you know, because people, it's all right to do that. You know, it's, you know, in our society, you know, a couple of glasses of wine when you come home at night, a gin and tonic, you've been at work all day. But really that's, you know, you just, 1, 2 glasses. I mean, I have lots of DMs from women that struggle. They say they get in from work, they have a glass of wine, they start cooking the dinner, they have another glass of wine, and they sit down with their partner and they have another 2 glasses of wine, and then they sit down for TV and they open another bottle. And before you know it, that's every night. And you don't feel all right. I know that in later life, maybe because our liver and our kidneys are not working as well as they should do, you know. I mean, I used to have 1 glass of wine and I would feel awful, you know. And I know that with 1 glass of wine, I would not sleep as well, you know. I would wake up in the night. Well, I never even had 1 glass of wine, so I don't know why I'm saying that. Never had a couple of drinks. You know, if I did, I wouldn't be an alcoholic. but yeah, it's a very, you know, and I just feel that we, you know, there should be more of like a help for alcohol and middle-aged women, because I think that is a lot. That's the most of the DMs that I get, asking for help, not knowing, you know, what to do, and you know, it's quite serious.
And you know, you talk about the stigma of menopause, which I think is true, but the stigma of being a middle-aged woman who can't stop drinking is very small.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know, there's nothing worse. I used to think that. I used to think, oh God, I cannot be, you know, staggering out of a restaurant, you know, being mid-50s. You know, I really, really didn't want to be in that position. You know, I didn't want it to have a hold on me. I was determined to get clean, without a doubt.
It's been lovely talking to you. I'm just getting
lovely talking to you.
Of your book, which I think is
Thank
really
you.
good. It's called The New Hot, and it's by Meg Mathews. So thanks very much for talking to welldoing.org.
No.
And stay in touch. Okay.
I will do. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.